So the Model Y did officially deliver yesterday on Friday the 13th. We think it was only about 3 deliveries or so, but one of them in particular, SilverSmith, who is a user on the Tesla Motors Club forum, he's been posting all sorts of photos and giving us all the information we need to know. On top of this, Tesla posted the user manual and actually a few support videos as well for the Model Y, so we have pretty much all the information you need now. We're going to get into the consoles, the storage space, the USB-C, wireless charging, towing, all that kind of stuff. Let's get into it. So first, let's look at some photos from Eric Weaver. So he got a bunch at a delivery center, even though he wasn't actually receiving his Model Y for delivery. And you got a bunch of the exterior that look really great, and you can really see those Uber turbine wheels in detail and just how beautiful they are. Even though they're not the wheels I'm going to be getting, I'm a big fan of them. And also on top of that, I think the Chrome Delete looks especially good on these particular colors of the car. And I believe that's him in the car, and he said once he sat in the car, he said he's just at the point where he can't wait to get his Model Y now. And then here's a good photo of the frunk, and you can see that seal at the top, which we'll talk about later. And then the back with the rear seats back and how much space there is in that trunk. Now the seats folded down, how beautifully flush they fold down. And that this car needs a little bit of cleaning, but it has some good legroom. The front trunk, again, there you can see in that photo, looking nice and big. Now here are those side storage compartments. That's going to be for accessories and cables and such that you don't want rolling around, and that looks like it's going to be pretty useful and fairly deep. And then just a couple more photos, we can see the inside of the car here, and just how much space there is back there in that trunk. We've known this for the past couple weeks, but it's really good to just reiterate it. Then what the interior looks like on those rear seats. And then lastly, we have a picture of what the trunk looks like when you're looking back at it from the seats of the car itself. So I just wanted to show you all those photos since they're really good, but let's get into some specifics. So this is based on the user manual, which is out there, and I scoured that thing. And on top of that, SilverSmith has confirmed a lot of these things and put photos up of them, so this is going to be really useful. First up is the Powered Hatchback. So we know the hatchback is going to be powered, but now we have it obviously confirmed, and there's a few different ways that you can open it. You can open it with the touch screen on the Model Y itself. You can also double-click the trunk button if you have the key fob, or you can touch the trunk button in the app. And then the other option is when it's unlocked, you can press the switch that is under the trunk handle. So a lot of people have asked about a foot switch, and it doesn't mention it in the user manual, which means it's probably not there. So if you're coming up to your car holding a ton of groceries, I'm thinking your best option is just going to be to pull out the app or just hit the switch. At least it power opens for you, but there's no foot switch or anything like that to make it super convenient. The one thing I will say is you could probably set up a Hey Siri command with your phone, but a lot of times that doesn't work if the phone is in your pocket, but that could be something that would work for the trunk as well. What's cool about the automatic trunk is that it also has an option to customize the opening height. So if, say, you're in a garage that has a really low ceiling and you don't want it ever to open all the way, you can actually customize that. So what you do is you open the liftgate, and then you manually lower or raise it to the desired height. Then you press and hold the liftgate button for 2 seconds, and then it confirms it with a chime, and then it's going to remember that position for the future. So it should be very helpful in low ceiling situations where you don't actually want it to open up all the way, and it's going to remember that. And then to close the trunk, it's going to be all the same options that I mentioned before, but on top of that, there's a button on the top of the actual trunk door itself. So now let's get into all the dimensions of what the trunk space is like in the Model Y. And this is thanks to SilverSmith. He's gone in detail, and he seems to be just as excited about this car as we are. So we really appreciate him because he's doing all sorts of measurements on his brand new Model Y, since he's like one of 3 people in the world that has one right now. So the hatch opening itself, he measured to be 27.5 inches tall. Then he measured along the back row seats. So if you measure from the corner of the second row left seat to the corner of the second row right seat, it's about 45 inches. The width of the center seat itself is about 11.5 inches. So if you're planning to fit something through there, you're going to have about 11.5 inches of space. Although, because of the way the seats work, it has this kind of 60-40 split. Even though they can fold independently, it actually turns out that there's this bar that sticks out. And I've asked about this, and it seems like it can't be removed, unfortunately. So this bar just seems to be there all the time. So if you're trying to fit a box through that center seat, it's going to get punctured by that little bar, which seems kind of frustrating and annoying, but it might just be the way that these kind of seats have to work. So definitely something to keep in mind there when you're planning on putting something through there. that you're going to have that bar sticking out. And he measured that to be about 2.5 inches that it's taking off of your allotted space there. Now the base of the trunk, which he measured from the base of the back of the second row seats all the way to the edge of the trunk, is about 44 inches. Then he measured the width from wheel hub to wheel hub at about 37 inches. Now if you fold those second row seats down, he gave a couple more measurements as well. So he pushed the passenger seat all the way as far forward as it could go. So this is giving you an example if you're just trying to use it for maximum storage and you're putting the passenger seat as far forward as it can go. He measured from the back of the trunk to that seat, it's about 84 inches. Now, if you're looking for storage with the seats folded down in more of a normal situation, he put the driver's seat all the way back in a fairly comfortable, fairly upright position and said that that is about 73 inches from that seat to all the way in the back of the trunk. So all of those are going to vary depending on your seat position, but it looks like it's going to be a very useful, flexible car. Because essentially, once you get past the first row of seats, it can just be this giant open space. But that's not all the space, because it also has these two under storage compartments. So the first one is in the way back, and that is the very deep one that we've seen before. And it looks to be a little bit deeper than the Model 3. Now the second one is the one that's closer to the seats, and it's still fairly deep, but it seems to be about a quarter or a third of what the depth is on the very back one. So not as deep, but definitely still useful. And then on top of that, there's those side storage compartments as well. Now we know that the frunk is a little bit larger than the Model 3, and it looks to be really good according to this photo. And what we had expected is that the frunk wouldn't be powered, and that is the case. It is not a powered frunk. Now the question a lot of people had was, if the back has USB-C, does that mean that the front is going to have USB-C? And the answer is yes. It actually comes with one USB-C and one USB-A. And a lot of people want this for their newer phones, and they also want this to be able to easily connect to a wireless charging pad, but it looks like the Model Y actually comes with a wireless charging pad. The manual officially says that it can charge up to rates of 15 watts, and you can also put two phones on there side by side, and it just connects to that one USB-C port. It does say that it slows it down a little bit when you use two phones, and that makes a lot of sense, but that is the case. But yeah, it includes a wireless charging pad in the front console on the Model Y, which is really great, and it's an accessory people have added after the fact, so it's cool that you just don't have to buy it. And it's also cool that it still includes a USB-A, so it's very versatile there for older stuff, so you don't have to have one of those dongles that everyone has to have for basically everything now. So you'll have USB-C being used by the wireless charging pad, but if you don't want to use the wireless charging pad, you can also just use that. Then you have USB-A, and then in the back of that console, for the back seats, you have two USB-C ports, and then on top of that, in the center console in the front, you have a 12-volt power socket, and that is that old cigarette lighter socket for certain accessories. Now the rear console between the seats is actually just the center seat, and if you fold that down, it's actually cup holders or an armrest, which is a cool feature, and then on top of that, there's a headrest there that comes out of the seat itself. So now regarding how the second row seats are going to fold. So it looks like they all fold flat independently, and they're powered to go down. So even if you touch the handles on the seat itself, it's kind of powered and it's going to do it for you. You don't have to actually use your muscles to get that down. Not that that would be the hardest thing in the world, but it's nice to have that feature. And these seats are organized in a 60-40 split. So the left side, if you fold it down, it's going to take the center seat with it. And if you fold down the right seat, it's just the right seat. Again, as I mentioned, the left and the center connect with that post, which it seems like you can't remove, which is a little bit unfortunate there. If you want to only fold down the center seat, you can do so with the switch on the back of the center seat. Alternatively, if you're trying to fold down the seats quickly, you can do so from the trunk, which is really nice. So as I mentioned, might have been a feature in the past, it looks like it's confirmed that you can open the powered liftgate, and then on the left side of the trunk, there's two switches. And depending on what you want to fold down, you pull one of those switches or both of them, and they fold down automatically for you. Definitely going to be a super useful feature. I think for me, I'm going to love this because I don't want to always have my seats folded down, but I'm frequently going to be folding them down to load in equipment and load in drums. So when I get up to my car, I can open that powered liftgate automatically, and then I just pull those switches and it folds down those seats and I'm good to go. Very useful. And it's confirmed that both the front and the rear seats include heated seats. And according to SilverSmith, who again is that first owner of the Model Y that we know of, who has been posting photos, he said that there are 6 different levels of recline. And he said it's very small increments in the rear seats, but he said it's actually noticeable and it's pretty decent. It looks like the Model Y does not include HomeLink, so if you want to add it later, it's a $300 upgrade, which is frustrating for people who ordered it thinking it came with that feature. Not really sure how Tesla's going to handle that. It looks like even though there was a possibility of a cargo shelf, there is no cargo shelf, or cargo cover, whatever people call it. According to SilverSmith, he said that there is not a shelf included and there's also no place that it would be installed after the fact. So basically, you could make that accessory as a third-party accessory, and that would be very popular in this car because basically every European I hear from says, I can't believe that there would ever be a car that doesn't come with that cargo cover. So yeah, someone should make that accessory for the Model Y because that's going to be a very popular add-on for people. So there are still some rumors surrounding this, but according to the manual, there is no towing whatsoever. But there's a spot where we assumed the tow hitch receiver might be, and SilverSmith opened that up and he showed that there's nothing there. It looks like you could add something there later, but there's nothing included there right now. There have been some rumors, however, regarding a towing mode coming for the Model Y, so maybe that is an accessory Tesla is going to add, and it's a package that you get after the fact. Could be a possibility, and I'll link to that article that's mentioning that below. But as of right now, the manual officially just says no towing. Now the seats in the Model Y sit about 3.5 inches taller than they do on the Model 3. And that's because this user, SilverSmith, measured the distance from the floor up to the seats on both his Model 3 and his Model Y, 3.5 inches taller on the Model Y. And we knew it was going to be higher because they said it was on risers, the same seats just on risers, and now it's confirmed to be 3.5 inches. He also noted that the build quality on the Model Y is overall better than his Model 3, and he said the panel gaps are much improved. And then he said the Model Y is also quieter. This could be because it's a new car, but something that people had complained about was road noise in the Model 3, so hopefully that's something they fixed and got a little bit improved on the Model Y. There's officially no heated steering wheel, and most people didn't expect this because the Model 3 didn't have one, but a lot of people still want a heated steering wheel in the Model Y, and it's not there. Some more things it doesn't include is it doesn't include a NEMA 1450 adapter. It only includes the standard 120 volt adapter in the charging bag itself. It also doesn't include AM radio, which is interesting, and includes FM radio, but AM radio is not there. SilverSmith had ordered the full-out performance model, and he said there's no track mode either. He went into all the settings, and there was no track mode to be found. And then the last interesting thing to note, based on the owner's manual, is that it actually has a heat pump. So this is a better, more efficient way to heat the car in colder climates. So hopefully it should add to some efficiency in colder climates. For people who had issues with the Model 3 losing a lot of range in colder climates, looks like this heat pump should hopefully help that out. So we should be seeing more Model Y deliveries today and definitely tomorrow, because tomorrow's the 15th when we were expecting them to begin, and these ones happened earlier than that. So I'm really excited to see all the Model Ys out there. Again, as I've mentioned, I'd love to come check out your Model Y if you're anywhere close to Los Angeles. I'll drive 2-6 hours, whatever I need to. I really want to check out this car and also want to be able to make a video with it, and I'd love to make a video with you if you'd be willing. Other than that, there's not really much new news about delivery scheduling other than some people's are getting delayed in Washington, and it's probably due to a that you've probably heard something about. So I'll keep you posted on everything coming out about the Model Y. I hope all those things helped you out, and those are all confirmations. None of this that I talked about today is a rumor. That is all based on actual photos of someone who got their Model Y delivered and based on the owner's manual published by Tesla themselves. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on all these Model Y and Tesla and tech videos I'm making every single week throughout the week. And especially right now, during this time, I'm going to be making tons of videos about the Model Y. I'd also appreciate it if you found this video useful, hit that like button so that more people can find it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, which will probably be coming out tomorrow.